This tutorial is for the blanket stitch. I'm using number 8 pearl cotton and an embroidery needle. So you would use the blanket stitch to go around the outside of a project so that you could cut it out and have a decorative edge around the outside. So to start a blanket stitch, you're going to come up at the bottom of your blanket stitch. You're going to leave about an inch tail. And then you're going to count up 4 stitches and then over 1 stitch. And then before you pull it through, you're going to bring your needle back out right next to your first stitch. And then you're going to make sure that the thread wraps around the back side of the needle like that, so that you're pulling the thread through a loop of the other thread. You're going to pull it tight, and it's going to make this J shape. And that is what the blanket stitch looks like. So next stitch, you're going to go just right next door to that first stitch and come down and out at the bottom. And again, wrap the thread around behind the needle and pull it through. So each of these stitches that you're going to do is going to go through the previous stitch. Okay, now I've gotten to where I want to turn the corner. I'm going to go around and basically do a blanket stitch around the outside of this heart. So I need to go around the corner, so I'm going to go into the same stitch as the last one. And then down on the bottom, I'm going to skip over 1 and just go 2 holes over. Instead of right next to it, I'm going to go an extra hole over. Again, make sure that my thread wraps around it. Going to pull it tight, and you see it's kind of making a corner now. So the next stitch, I'm going to go again in that same hole, and then at the bottom I'm going to go over 2. So I'm going to skip 1 hole, make sure that it wraps around the needle, and pull it tight. So that's the outside edge of my corner. Now I need to come up this direction. So I'm actually going to turn my fabric because I like to work vertically. So I'm going to go in the same hole again, and I'm going to go this direction 2 holes. Like that. Again, wrap around. And then finally, I'm going to do one last one in the same hole and over 2. I like to push the thread out of the way so that I can see what I'm doing, and then I pull it tight again and then wrap it around. And that way I can make sure I'm going in the right hole. And there, I've gone around the corner. Okay, so blanket stitches a lot of the times are like cluster blocks in that they have 5 stitches each. So this is my first straight stitch, and so that is going to be my first stitch of my next cluster. So now I'm going to go into the next hole over. Sorry, I can't see. And the next hole there. And that's my second stitch. So I'm going to do 5 of those. There's 3. 4. And 5. Okay, now I'm going to turn the corner again and go this direction. So when you're turning out or doing an inside corner, what you do is turn your fabric around. You're going to go up and go in 4 up here, and then you're going to go back through the last hole that you went through at the bottom, like that. And again, make sure that it wraps around underneath. There's my first one of 5. Two, 3, 4, 5. Now, as I'm doing this, it's important to check and make sure I'm on the right stitch. So I'm just going to run my needle from here to there. Yep, it's on the same stitch. I'm doing good still. Okay, now I'm going to go around the corner. So I have to go back in the same hole and over 2 on the bottom. Wrap it around and pull it through. And I'm going to go in the same hole. I go in the same hole a lot of times. Let's see, 5 times I believe. So this is the 3rd time I've gone into that same hole. Now I'm going to turn the corner, go in the same hole, and go the other direction too. And the last time I'm going to go in the same hole and over 2. And now I'll go into the next hole. This will be number 2 for my cluster. Number 3. And 5. And again, I'm going to just check, am I in the same hole there? Yes, I am. Same hole here, I'm doing well. And I'm going to go turn the corner again and go straight up 4, and then back into the same hole I started with. Make sure that it's wrapped around and pull it tight. Now I'm going to go all the way around. Now let me just show you if I run out of thread, how to change the threads. So let's say I've run out of thread. So I'm going to pull it through, but leave a hole, leave a little loop there. And then I'm going to thread it through on the back side. And then I can pull my needle off so that I can thread a new set of thread. And I have a little short one here that I'll just use. Okay, so I'm going to take my new thread in and I'm going to thread it through the back. And then I'm going to come up through where this next thread should have come through. Right there. And then make sure this thread is wrapped around and pull this one in. Now you have to be real careful with the threads because they're not held in real tight yet. So don't pull this one too hard. Now I'm going to take the thread, the old thread that I'm ending, and I'm going to pull on it. I'm going to pull on it until, oh, that's too far, until it sits nicely. next to the other ones, and now I've got my new thread that I can work with, and I just keep going like that. Okay, now one other thing that I want to show you is how you end it at the very end. So I'm going to rethread my needle. Hold on. I've gone all the way around my heart and I'm coming back to the other side. And I'm stitching along. I just want to show you how you do that last stitch because it's a little bit different. Turning the corner, so I've got to go in the same hole on the top and over 2 on the bottom. Same hole on the top, over 2 on the bottom. Same hole on the top, over 2 on the bottom. Okay, and now I'm doing my last stitch. If I was to go up and over like I have done in the past, first of all, I'm going to end up with my thread on the front of the fabric, which I don't want. And second of all, it's not going to be attached to this beginning thread. So instead of going up and under, I'm going to thread my needle underneath this very first stitch. And then I'm going to go down where I would have gone down originally, like that. And that blends it in nicely. And then I would just finish it off on the back.